Top 10 gemstones that are often mistaken for regular stones. Some of the world's most valuable gemstones were almost thrown away, mistaken for quartz, granite, or worthless gravel. They sat buried in junk trays at gem fairs, misfiled in museum drawers, or crushed under bulldozers at mining sites. And yet inside these so-called ordinary rocks were billion-year-old crystals, glowing with spectral fire, shifting color with every beam of light, some even rarer than diamond. This is the top 10 gemstones that were once mistaken for ordinary stones. And the first one? It wore a crown, but never its name. Don't forget to press and hold that like button, leave a comment, and hit subscribe before we begin. Ranked 10th, Peridot, the starborn gem once thrown away as gravel. It was mistaken for nothing, kicked aside by miners, labeled common olivine, and forgotten in dusty volcanic fields from Arizona to Pakistan. But what if the rocks they discarded were actually carrying fragments from the Earth's mantle or even outer space? Peridot, the gem-quality form of olivine, has one of the most misunderstood backstories in gemology. For decades, it was tossed aside during mining operations because of its mossy green appearance and resemblance to industrial minerals. In truth, many of those worthless pieces were fully crystallized peridot, some even originating from Palisite meteorites, extraterrestrial debris carrying olivine crystals embedded in iron nickel. Gem-grade peridot is recognized today for its pure, unenhanced green, a saturated lime to olive hue with subtle golden undertones. High-quality stones over 5 carats can command $400 to $700 per carat, and those over 10 carats regularly reach $1,500+ per carat, mainly from Myanmar or the famed Supat region of Pakistan. Most cut stones fall under 0.75 inches, making significant flawless examples rare. What was once mistaken for volcanic gravel is now featured in elite jewelry, sold at international auctions, and even studied by NASA for its cosmic origins. Peridot is living proof. Not all treasure gleams at first glance. Sometimes it takes the trained eye, or a second chance, to turn a forgotten stone into something worth more than gold. Ranked 9th, Grandidierite, the gem the world forgot to name. For nearly a century it sat in silence, misfiled, mislabeled, and misunderstood, passed off as nothing more than greenish-blue mineral scrap. In truth, it was Grandidierite, one of the rarest gemstones on Earth, and for most of its existence, no one knew what they were holding. First discovered in Madagascar along the coastal cliffs of Andalusite, the stone was opaque, brittle, and unremarkable to the untrained eye. Dealers mistook it for aquamarine, apatite, or low-grade tourmaline, and even seasoned gemologists struggled to categorize it. Only decades later, after advanced spectroscopic testing, its identity and value came into focus. True gem-quality Grandidierite is trichroic, shifting between soft teal, sea green, and icy blue depending on the angle of light. It forms under rare conditions where boron and aluminum meet in high-pressure metamorphic rock. Most cuttable stones measure under 0.5 inches across, and examples with transparency above 1 carat are nearly unheard of. Fine Grandidierite sells for $5,000 to $10,000 per carat, with museum-grade stones over 3 carats fetching even higher. It has become a collector's trophy, not for its sparkle, but for its silence. Because no gem better represents the danger of assumption, Grandidierite hid in plain sight for decades, overlooked by the very people trained to see. Ranked 8th, Andalusite, the color shifter that was misread for a century. To the casual observer, it looked broken, muddled, imperfect. Inconsistent coloring, greens, browns, maybe a hint of rust, all within a single stone. Many called it flawed quartz. Some dismissed it as smoky topaz. Others didn't bother naming it at all. But the truth was, they weren't seeing flaws. They witnessed pleochroism, one of the most fascinating optical effects in gemology. This misunderstood phenomenon allows Andalusite to display multiple colors simultaneously, depending on the viewing angle and light direction. In crystal form, it contains different axes that absorb light differently. Viewed face-up, the gem may flash forest green, From the side, it burns with burnt orange. Tilt it slightly, and it darkens like bronze under fire. The effect is so subtle and complex that, for decades, Andalusite was deemed unstable or imperfect. But perception changed. Today, fine Andalusite gems over 2 carats with strong color separation command $500 to $1,200 per carat, especially from Brazilian or Sri Lankan sources. Clean stones above 3 carats are rare. Custom jewelry designers prize them for their living, dynamic appearance. Most measurements are under 0.6 inches and cut to maximize axis contrast. Once rejected for inconsistency, Andalusite is now celebrated for precisely that. It's not a defect, it's dimension. Not color confusion, but color complexity. A stone that taught the industry a valuable lesson. Sometimes beauty isn't about clarity, it's about contradiction. Ranked 7th, Chrysoberyl cat's eye, the gem that auction houses once rejected. In 1991, a greenish-yellow stone was submitted to a gem lab in Sri Lanka. Opaque, fibrous, with a faint silver line down the middle, it was quickly dismissed. The verdict: quartz with a cat's eye effect. Estimated value, less than $20 per carat. It was declined from auction, returned to the owner, and forgotten. But 6 years later, the same stone resurfaced with a new certificate, this time from a Swiss laboratory. It wasn't quartz, it was a Chrysoberyl cat's eye, a rare variety prized for its vivid chatoyancy, a razor-sharp white ray that slides across the stone's dome like a slit pupil. Under the proper lighting, it doesn't just reflect, it moves. This phenomenon, caused by microscopic rudal inclusions aligned perfectly within the crystal, is challenging to replicate and nearly impossible to fake. Today, fine specimens over 3 carats sell for $8,000 to $12,000 per carat, while top-grade stones exceeding 5 carats with strong rolling eye effects have surpassed $25,000 per carat in private auctions. Once confused with low-value quartz, Chrysoberyl cat's eye is now a coveted talisman of protection in many cultures and a powerful statement piece in high jewelry. Its journey from rejection to reverence is a reminder that the gem trade doesn't always misjudge a stone. Sometimes it just needs time to catch up. Ranked 6th, Tanzanite, the nameless stone that needed a brand to be believed. When it was first pulled from the earth near Mount Kilimanjaro in 1967, no one knew what it was. It was blue, violet, and oddly transparent, but chemically close to zoisite, a mineral with little value in the gem market. Local miners treated it like ornamental scrap. Exporters filed it under generic labels. Some even tried passing it off as a sapphire reject. It took a jeweler, not a geologist, to see the truth. Tiffany and Company, searching for a gem to rival sapphire but with exclusivity, recognized its potential. But blue zoisite wouldn't sell. It sounded too close to suicide. So they renamed it Tanzanite after its singular origin. With that name came packaging, marketing, and global intrigue. A gemstone born in volcanic, metamorphic rock was reborn in Fifth Avenue display cases. But it wasn't all branding. Tanzanite is trichroic, meaning it can show blue, violet, and burgundy, depending on the angle and cut. Stones above 5 carats with strong color saturation now sell for $1,500 to $3,000 per carat, with rare pieces exceeding $5,000 per carat. Most cut stones fall under 0.8 inches, and the supply comes from a mine just 4.3 miles long, the only known source in the world. Tanzanite isn't just rare, it's finite, and without a name it might have vanished before anyone realized it mattered. Ranked 5th, Zircon, the ancient diamond that lost its name to a faker. It once sat in royal crowns, mistaken for diamonds. Mined from ancient deposits in Sri Lanka and Cambodia, zircon was prized for its brilliance, double refraction, and fire. Some of the earliest known gem rings, dating back over 2,000 years, feature colorless zircon, which buyers and jewelers often mistake for natural diamonds. But centuries of admiration came undone in just one generation. In the 1970s, a lab-created stone named cubic zirconia entered the market, cheap, flawless, and intentionally sold as a diamond simulant. Its name stuck. and with it, zircon's reputation collapsed. Despite being a natural gemstone with a completely different chemical structure, zircon was lumped into the category of fakes. Retailers stopped carrying it, and customers stopped asking for it. But zircon didn't disappear. It evolved. Today, fine zircon, especially in blue, champagne, and colorless varieties, has made a quiet comeback. Stones over 3 carats with strong luster can sell for $400 to $800 per carat, with rare untreated blue stones exceeding $1,500 per carat. Most measure between 0.5 and 1 inch, and their high dispersion still rivals diamonds under the right cut. Zircon is now seen for what it truly is, one of Earth's oldest minerals, dating back over 4.3 billion years. It was a gem that was dethroned, disrespected, and nearly forgotten, not because of what it was, but because of what it was mistaken for. Ranked 4th, red beryl. The million-dollar mistake in the granite field. In the remote Wah-Wah Mountains of Utah, miners once walked away from red-streaked veins in the rhyolite cliffs, assuming they were just manganese-stained granite. For decades, these crimson zones were left unclaimed, scraped over by machinery, and overlooked by exploration surveys. But those red flecks weren't staining. They were crystallizing. What had been ignored as geological noise turned out to be red beryl, a vanadium and manganese-rich cousin of emerald and aquamarine. The chemical conditions required to form it are so rare that they've only occurred in one place on Earth. Unlike most beryls, which grow in pegmatites, red beryl forms in gas cavities of cooled volcanic rock. It doesn't just grow deep, it grows against the odds. Most crystals measure under 0.3 inches in length. Faceable stones over 1 carat are geological miracles. In the 1990s, clean stones fetched around $4,000 per carat. By 2024, that figure has risen to $20,000 to $30,000 per carat, with museum-quality examples breaching $50,000 in elite auctions. No commercial deposit has ever matched the Wah-Wah yield. Mining stopped. Supply vanished. What was once discarded as waste now belongs to billionaires, locked in safes and passed through private channels. Red beryl isn't just rare. It occurs when the Earth creates art, and humans almost miss it. It's a gem nearly lost to geology textbooks, as a footnote in a granite field. Ranked 3rd, Paraíba Tourmaline, the $100,000 carat almost tossed aside. When the first Paraíba Tourmaline surfaced in the late 1980s from a dusty hillside in Brazil's Rio Grande do Norte, no one thought much of them. Dealers wrote them off as electric-colored tourmaline. Interesting maybe, but nothing revolutionary. They mainly were grouped with indigo lite or verdolite, valued at $10 to $50 per carat. But something was off. These stones didn't behave like normal tourmaline. Under daylight, they glowed. Under halogen, they pulsed. Under UV, they vibrate with electric fire. That glow led a gemologist to submit the stones for trace element analysis, which revealed something shocking: unusually high concentrations of copper and manganese, a chemical signature never before seen in natural tourmaline. That lab report flipped the market overnight. Within a year, the same stones, once tossed in side trays, were being auctioned in Tokyo, Paris, and New York. Prices soared. By 2024, top-tier Paraíba tourmaline, over 3 carats, mainly of Brazilian origin, can fetch $50,000 to $100,000 per carat. Stones above 1 inch in length are museum tier. Some have surpassed the price of fine rubies. Today, any neon blue tourmaline is tested for copper content. Origin reports from GIA, SSEF, and Tokyo labs are mandatory. And what was once a mistake in a mineral bag is now a globally protected gem. Paraíba didn't just light up the market, it rewired the rules of color itself. Ranked 2nd, Alexandrite, the daylight emerald, moonlight garnet. The first Alexandrite was found in the emerald mines of the Ural Mountains, and naturally everyone assumed it was emerald. In the soft daylight, it gleamed with forest green clarity, but the miners thought they'd made a mistake when candlelight fell over the gem that night. The same stone now shimmered red, like garnet soaked in wine. They believed they had found 2 different gems, In truth, they had discovered one of the rarest optical phenomena in gemology, color change due to light wavelength sensitivity, the defining trait of Alexandrite. Named in honor of Tsarevich Alexander II of Russia, this gemstone was once reserved for nobility, but its complexity made it hard to identify and even harder to cut. Dealers often confuse it for a peridot, spinel, or low-grade sapphire. For decades, stones showing color shift were misclassified and sold for a fraction of their true worth. Today, authentic Alexandrite, with a sharp color change from green to red under incandescent light, is among the most valuable colored gems in the world. Clean stones over 1 carat start around $10,000 per carat, with 2+ carat museum-grade examples exceeding $30,000 to $40,000 per carat. Most cut stones measure under 0.6 inches, and untreated Russian origin stones are almost mythical. It was once 2 stones in one, because no one believed it could be both. Now Alexandrite is proof that the rarest things are often the most misunderstood, especially when they change depending on how you choose to look. In first place, Spinel, the impostor that sat on thrones. For centuries it wore the crown, literally. The Black Prince's ruby at the center of the British imperial state crown, flaunted by monarchs, passed through blood and conquest, is not a ruby, it's spinel. So are half the rubies that graced Mughal daggers, Russian scepters, and European regalia. What kings paid for in blood was a gem misnamed for generations. Spinel mimics ruby in hue and hardness, but it has a cleaner crystal structure, no need for heat treatment, and stronger fluorescence under UV. And yet, for most of recorded history, it was considered ruby's understudy. Valuable, but always second tier. It wasn't until the 20th century that spectroscopy finally exposed the truth. This was a separate species and often a superior one. Today, spinel has emerged from the shadow of mislabeling. The finest Mahenge spinel, neon pink red, over 5 carats, commands $10,000 to $15,000 per carat, rivaling sapphire. Burmese reds, once sold as rubies, now fetch premiums as high as $25,000 per carat, depending on provenance. Most elite stones measure under 0.8 inches, and those with royal history, practically priceless. Spinel isn't a mistake. It's a masterclass in misjudgment, a gem that ruled empires while wearing someone else's name. Now, it doesn't need to pretend. It dethroned the ruby, not with a sword, but with the truth. They were overlooked, dismissed, misnamed. And yet, each gemstone now rests behind glass in museums, locked in private vaults, or placed at the center of multi-million-dollar jewelry pieces. What was once considered worthless has become priceless. Not because the stones changed, but because someone finally looked again. Because value doesn't always shine on the surface. Sometimes it hides in shadows, buried in misunderstanding, waiting to be seen by the right eyes. And when it is, the world has to rewrite everything it thought it knew. Let us know which resonates with you in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.